Welcome on GAM channel. Please subscribe, like, share and comment for more videos. This video is about history of Nigeria from the pre-colonial period up to date. Nigeria. Officially, the Federal Republic of Nigeria is a country in West Africa. It is situated between the Sahel to the north and the Gulf of Guinea to the south, the Atlantic Ocean. It covers an area of 923,769 square kilometers and with a population of over 225 million. It is the most populous country in Africa and the world's sixth most populous country. Nigeria borders Niger to the north, Chad in the northeast, Cameroon in the east, and Benin in the west. Nigeria is a federal republic comprising 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, where the capital Abuja is located. The largest city in Nigeria is Lagos, one of the largest metropolitan areas in the world and the second largest in Africa. Nigeria is a multinational state inhabited by more than 250 ethnic groups speaking 500 distinct languages, all identifying with a wide variety of cultures. The three largest ethnic groups are the Hausa in the north, Yoruba in the west, and the Igbo in the east, together constituting over 60% of the total population. The official language is English, chosen to facilitate linguistic unity at the national level. Nigeria's constitution ensures freedom of religion, and it is home to some of the world's largest Muslim and Christian populations. Nigeria is divided roughly in half between Muslims who live mostly in the north and Christians who live mostly in the south. Indigenous religions such as those native to the Igbo and Yoruba ethnicities are the minority. Nigeria is a regional power in Africa and the middle and emerging power in the international affairs. Nigeria's economy is the largest in Africa, the 31st largest in the world by nominal GDP and 26th largest by PPP. Nigeria is often referred to as the giant of Africa, owing to its large population and economy, and is considered to be an emerging market by the World Bank. However, the country ranks very low in the Human Development Index and remains one of the most corrupt nations in the world. Nigeria is the founding member of the African Union and the member of many international organizations, including United Nations, the Commonwealth of Nations, NAM, the Economic Community of West African States, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and OPEC. It is also a member of the Informal Mint Group of countries and is one of the next 11 economies. In the 16th century, Portuguese explorers were the first Europeans to begin important direct trade with peoples of southern Nigeria. At the port they named Lagos, and in Calabar along the region's slave coast. Europeans traded goods with peoples at the coastal trade with the Europeans also marked the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade. Some of the most prolific slave trade kingdoms who participated in the transatlantic slave trade were linked with the Edo's Benin Empire in the south, Oyo Empire in the southwest, and the Aro Confederacy in the southeast. Benin's power lasted between 15th and 19th centuries. Oyo at its territorial zenith in the late 17th to early 18th centuries extended its influence from western Nigeria to modern Togo. In the north, the incessant fighting amongst the Hausa city-states and the decline of the Borno Empire gave rise to the Fulani people gaining headway into the region. At the beginning of the 19th century, Osman Dan Fodio led a successful jihad against the Hausa kingdom, founding the centralized Sokoto Caliphate. A change in legal imperative and economic imperative led most European powers to support the widespread cultivation of agricultural products such as the palm, the use of European industry. European companies engaged in the Atlantic slave trade until it was outlawed in 1807 by Britain. Britain intervened in the Lagos kingship power struggle by bombarding Lagos in 1851, deposing the slave trade friendly Oba Kosoko, helping to install the amenable Oba Akitoye, and signing the treaty between Great Britain and Lagos on 1st January 1852. Britain annexed Lagos as a crown colony in August 1861 with the Lagos Treaty of Cession. British missionaries expanded their operations and traveled further inland. In 1864, Samuel Ajay Crowther became the first African bishop of the Anglican Church. In 1885, British claims to a West African sphere of influence, receiving recognition from other European nations at the Berlin Conference. The following year, it chartered the Royal Niger Company under the leadership of Sir George Stogman Goldie. By late 19th and early 20th century, the company had vastly succeeded in subjugating the independent southern kingdoms along the Niger River. The British conquered Benin in 1897 and in the Anglo-Arab War defeated other opponents. The defeat of these states opened up the Niger area to British rule. In 1900, the company's territory came under the direct control of the British government and established the Southern Nigeria Protectorate as a British protectorate and part of the British Empire, the foremost world power at the time. By 1902, the British had begun plans to move north into the Sokoto Caliphate. As the British approached the city of Sokoto, Sultan Muhammad Attahiru I organized a quick defense of the city and fought the advancing British-led forces. The British force quickly won, sending Attahiru I and thousands of followers on a Mahdist hijra. In the northeast, the decline of the Borno Empire gave rise to the British-controlled Borno Emirate, which established Abubakar Garbai of Borno as a ruler. In 1902, the British victory in the Battle of the Kano gave them logistical aid of pacifying the heartland of the Sokoto Caliphate and parts of the former Borno Empire. On 13th March 1903, Vizier of the Caliphate officially conceded British rule. The British appointed Muhammad Attahiru as the new Caliph. Lugard abolished the Caliphate but retained the title Sultan as a symbolic position in the newly organized Northern Nigeria Protectorate. This remnant became known as Sokoto Sultanate Council. In June 1903, the British defeated the remaining forces of Attahiru. Administratively, Nigeria remained divided into the northern and southern protectorates and Lagos colony. Inhabitants of the southern regions sustained more interaction, economic and culturally, with the British and other Europeans owing to the coastal economy. Following World War II, in the response to the growth of Nigerian nationalism and the demands for independence, successive constitutions legislated by the British government moved Nigeria toward self-government on a representative and increasingly federal basis. Christian missions established Western educational institutions in the protectorates. Under Britain's policy of indirect rule and validation of Islamic tradition, the Crown did not encourage the operation of Christian missions in the northern Islamic part of the country. By independence in 1960, regional differences in modern education access were marked. The legacy, though less pronounced, continues to the present day. Imbalances between North and South were expressed in Nigeria's political life as well. Nigeria gained a degree of self-rule in 1954 and full independence from the United Kingdom on 1st October 1960. As the Federation of Nigeria with Abubakar Tafawa Balewa as its prime minister while retaining the British monarch, Elizabeth II as nominal head of the state and queen of Nigeria. Azikiwe replaced the colonial governor general in November 1960. At independence, the cultural and political differences were sharp among Nigeria's dominant ethnic groups: the Hausa in the north, Igbo in the east, and Yoruba in the west. The Westminster system of government was retained, and thus the president's power were generally ceremonial. The parliamentary system of government had Abubakar Tafawa Balewa as prime minister and Nnamdi Azikiwe as the ceremonial president. The founding government was a coalition of conservative parties: the Northern People's Congress led by Sir Ahmadu Bello, a party dominated by Muslim Northerners, and the Igbo and Christian-dominated National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons led by Nnamdi Azikiwe. The opposition consisted of the comparatively liberal Action Group. The disequilibrium and perceived corruption of the electoral and political process led to military coups in 1966. The first coup was in January 1966 and was led mostly by soldiers under Majors Emmanuel Ifeanyi and Chukwuma Kaduna Nzewugu and Adewale Ademoyega. In May 1967, governor of the Eastern Region, Colonel Emeka Ojukwu, declared the region independent from the federation of a state called the Republic of Biafra. As a result of the continuous and systematically planned attacks against Igbos and those of Eastern extraction, popularly known as 1966 pogroms. This declaration precipitated the Nigerian Civil War, which began as the official Nigeria government side attacked Biafra on 6 July 1967. France, Egypt, the Soviet Union, Britain, Israel, and others were deeply involved in the civil war behind the scenes. Britain and the Soviet Union were the main military backers of the Nigerian government, with Nigeria utilizing air support from Egyptian pilots provided by Gamal Abdel Nasser, while France and Israel aided the Biafrans. Following the war, Nigeria enjoyed an oil boom in the 1970s, during which the country joined OPEC and received huge oil revenues. Despite these revenues, the military government did little to improve the standard of living of the population. The coup in July 1975, led by Generals Shehu Musa and Joseph Garba, ousted Gowon, who fled to Britain. Colonel Buka Suka Dimka launched a February 1976 coup attempt during which General Murtala Muhammad was assassinated. In 1977, a constituent assembly was elected to draft a new constitution which was published on September 21, 1978, when the ban on political activity was lifted. The military carefully planned the return to civilian rule, putting in place measures to ensure that political parties had broader support than witnessed during the First Republic. In 1979, 5 political parties competed in a series of elections in which Alhaji Shehu Shagari of the National Party of Nigeria was elected president. All 5 parties won representation in the National Assembly. On October 1st, 1979, Shehu Shagari was sworn in as the first president and commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Obasanjo peacefully transferred power to Shagari, becoming the first head of state in Nigeria history to willingly step down. The Shagari government became viewed as corrupt by virtually all sectors of Nigeria's society. The 1983 military coup d'etat took place on New Year's Eve of that year. It was coordinated by key officers of the Nigerian military and led to the overthrow of the government and the installation of Major General Muhammadu Buhari as head of state. The military coup of Muhammadu Buhari shortly after the regime's re-election in 1984 was generally viewed as a positive development. In 1985, Ibrahim Babangida overthrew Buhari in a coup d'etat. In 1986, Babangida established the Nigerian Political Bureau, which made recommendations for the transition to the Third Nigerian Republic. In 1989, Babangida started making plans for the transition to the Third Nigerian Republic. Babangida survived the 1990 Nigerian coup d'etat attempt, then postponed a promised return to democracy to 1992. The 1993 presidential election held on 12 June was the first since the military coup of 1983. The results, though not officially declared by the National Election Commission, showed the duo of Moshood Abiola and Babagana Kingibe of the Social Democratic Party defeated Bashir Tofa and Sylvester Ugo of the National Republican Convention by over 2.3 million votes. However, Babangida annulled the elections. In August 1993, Babangida finally kept his promise to relinquish power to a civilian government, but not before appointing Ernest Shoneka, head of the interim national government. Shoneka's interim government, the shortest in the political history of the country, was overthrown in a coup d'etat of 1993, led by General Sani Abacha, who used military force on a wide scale to suppress the continuing civilian unrest. Dictator Abacha died in 1998 under undignified circumstances at a party. His successor, Abdullah Salami Abubakar, adopted a constitution on May 1999 that had been drafted 10 years earlier and provided for free elections with several parties. On 29 May 1999, Abubakar handed over power to the winner of the 1999 presidential election, former military ruler General Olusegun Obasanjo, as president of Nigeria. In 2007 general elections, Amaru of the People's Democratic Party came to power. The international community, which had observed the Nigerian elections to promote a free and fair process, condemned these elections as seriously flawed. Amadu died on 5 May 2010, and Vice President Goodluck Jonathan had been sworn in 3 months earlier to succeed Umaru. Jonathan's tenure includes the successful fight against Ebola and economic recovery that made Nigeria leading economic power in Africa. On the other hand, falls the wave of terror by Boko Haram, which kidnapped 200 schoolgirls in Chibok. Above all, however, Jonathan's tenure stands for the misappropriation of state funds. $20 billion are said to have been lost to the Nigerian state as a result. The high level of corruption was the determining factor in 2015 presidential election, in which clean man Muhammadu Buhari replaced incumbent Jonathan, who was running for re-election. In the 2019 presidential elections, Buhari was re-elected for second term in office, defeating his closest rival Atiku Abubakar. As a Nigerian response to the US Black Lives Matter movement, in 2020 mainly young Nigerians protested against police attacks. The Special Anti-Robbery Squad was particularly criticized. The government disbanded the unit and promised to improve conditions. However, during a demonstration in October 2020, security forces shot dozens of people. The security situation eased slightly in 2022 when Boko Haram, whose militias terrorized Nigeria's north for years and devastated entire regions, largely disbanded. 40,000 Boko Haram fighters surrendered. For the first time in the Fourth Republic, three candidates will face each other in the February 2023 presidential election. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, like, share, and also comment. Tell us more about the topic to give the information that has not been provided in this video, and also your opinions.